Ladies and gentlemen, the volume inside of this bus is astronomical.
We got you. We got you. Yeah.
You're not going to use whether it's the military or the National Guard or law enforcement to clear peaceful American citizens for the President of the United States to do a photo op.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
What the media doesn't show, we're blocking the road, clearing traffic before the crowd comes. We're not looting or destroying. This is literally an organized protest.
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. To the no, no, no.
Now, this is epic.
White people when George Floyd is killed by a police officer. That was just one really bad police officer. They're all not like that. White people when some property is damaged during the protests. Literally, the entire Black Lives Matter movement is to blame. All they do is promote violence.
Something I want you to think about is which crimes are civil and which crimes are criminal, and why they are the way they are. So here's what that means. So some stealing is criminalized. If I go to a gas station and hold it up at gunpoint, the cops will come and arrest me. But there are other forms of stealing that are still illegal, but are not enforced with force. One of those is the various forms of wage theft.
Going 50, which isn't even illegal.
Okay.
And now you're pulling your pepper spray out.
Put your phone down, bro.
No.
Put your phone down.
Dude, get off me, man. You have...
Oh man, it's out. You're so lucky.
Dude, that's the universe trying to protect both of us.
So
Good news, millennials. You remember being kids when the internet got popular and then we were the first generation to have instant access to all of the porn that's ever been created? Well, it turns out that making all of those hard choices really improved our decision-making skills. The study from Psychology Today suggests that we suffer from less cognitive bias when making decisions because we've grown up in a world of endless options. Default choice theory says that when an individual is presented with two options, they're just as likely to pick an alternative over a default. But when a third option is added, most people will go back to the default because it's comfortable. See, millennials aren't like this. You see, when millennials are presented with the same three options, we are way less likely to choose the default. I think it's because we're used to being fucked over by the status quo, so we may as well explore other options.
Well, hey, look, that's me. Well, I'm the Phoenix man who was pepper sprayed and arrested for rioting in the city that I live. I live downtown. You can see it on my porch. I live right where the police staged everything, and I was actually thanking them for protecting us. And walking home from a friend's house later that night, we thought, being that we weren't associating with that, even if we were outside, we weren't aware that it was not allowed to be outside. There was no curfew. I guess they declared the unlawful assembly because of the riots, but that wasn't where we were.
Did you know that in 1951, a black woman named Henrietta Lacks was diagnosed with cervical cancer at Johns Hopkins Hospital? She was treated by a doctor named George Guy who took samples from her without her consent. Henrietta died at the age of 31, leaving behind 5 young children and a husband. The samples taken from her turned out to be the world's first immortal cells and were probably the most important discovery in the last 100 years. They were sold to labs by the millions and are involved in over 11,000 patents. They're to thank for the polio vaccine, drugs for leukemia, hemophilia, and Parkinson's, and were the first cells ever cloned. While Henrietta's cells were used to build a billion-dollar industry, her family was living in poverty without health insurance. They didn't know what had happened until the early 2000s. And still, the billion-dollar industry that was built on the exploitation of a black woman abuses black women.
Being pulled over by the police, allegedly looking for a stolen car. They pulled guns on me. Trying to kill me. What's the problem, officer? What's the problem, officer? You pull guns on me.
Yeah, because you're matching a stolen car. We have a black Altima. And
I'm matching a stolen car and you pull guns on me?
Yes, we do felony stops.
And you pull guns on me to threaten my life? Did you run the plates just to see if this car was stolen?
We didn't have time to run the plates.
Well, you have time to pull a gun out. You should run the plates first before you threaten my life. I have rights, officer. You're threatening my life. You're pulling a gun on me. You didn't even run the plates to see if this was a car before you pulled the gun out.
I took my eye off you to run the plate.